This is our Olympic bid for Stockholm, Sweden. My name is Ryan Hollander.
And I am Dejanay James.
So a little overview of Sweden, more specifically Stockholm. So Sweden as a country, the population is around 10 million. 85% of the population lives within one of its cities. There are 4 major cities, but Stockholm would be the potential host site. Sweden's population is relatively young. 2 million of its citizens are estimated to be under the age of 18, meaning there are a high amount of families and young people within the country. The population of Stockholm directly is 950,000, and it's the country's largest city. Sweden is home to over 30 national parks, making it very good for tourism, and the scenery within the country is categorized as some of the best in the European Union and throughout Europe. 50% of Sweden's energy comes from renewable resources, most commonly water and biomass. Putting the environment first in Sweden has been a priority in recent years, especially with the global climate change and the Global Climate Summit being very, very high in importance. Winters in Sweden are cold. The average temperature in January is around negative 16 degrees Celsius or 3.2 degrees Fahrenheit. And the southern temperature in the southern part of the country is 0 degrees, which is around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so still freezing cold. In the winter, there are 32 days of consecutive darkness because of where the country is placed, but that also brings 56 days of consecutive sunlight in the summer. So just for a little bit more background on the economy of Sweden and the state of Sweden, Sweden's economy is growing about as fast as any country on the planet. 460 billion euros in economic growth within the past decade ranks as one of the highest in all of the European Union. The average household income in Sweden is 45,000 euros, which relates directly to around 50,000 US dollars, meaning that most of Sweden's citizens are within the middle class and looking to spend on enjoyment in an event like the Winter Olympics. Sweden is a young country made up of families who make an honest living looking for entertainment and further ways to spend their time and have family-related activities, and is a country that most importantly continues to grow and would benefit tremendously from having such an event. Now we'll talk a little bit about the race and ethnicity and the type of people that live within the country of Sweden. Race demographics are drastically changing with increased immigration rates since the 1970s. There's a very vast variety of different people that live within the country. In terms of racial divides, Islamophobia is said to be the biggest racial divide and current issue within the country. Islamophobia is the fear of Muslims. This problem has grown from the threat of terrorism in more recent years and continues to be an issue. Many immigrants from Sweden are from Iraq and Syria. A high percentage of the immigrants come from those two countries, thus creating a greater divide from the indigenous population, or Samis. Racism has been an ongoing issue due to the high number of immigrants, but Sweden is taking further steps, which we will talk about. Sweden is taking steps with funding from the government to combat racial and hate crimes. The country is spending more than 50 million euros to combat racism and hate crime, the largest investment by a government in the European Union on that particular subject. The goals behind this is to look to improve the rights for LGBTQ and its community and other minority groups. 2 major steps Sweden has taken to combat racism within the country. Sweden in 2014 removed any mention of race out of all Swedish laws to tackle any potential racial divides. So with a country that is so full of immigrants, this has made a positive step towards creating equality throughout the entire population. And in 2016, Sweden set up a National Human Rights Institution to go along with its 5-step plan to combat racism, which we will get a little deeper into in the next slide. Along with the funding mentioned earlier, Sweden has come up with a 5-step plan to help reduce racism within the country. The 5-step plan includes improved knowledge, education, and research of various racial divides, improved coordination and monitoring, greater support and dialogue on the topic, strengthening preventative measures online, and a more active legal system. So all in all, the plan is worked to is a 5-step tier to combat racism through government, law enforcement, as well as the general population, and making racism a more aware topic, and making situations where racism is affecting daily life and quality of life more known to the legal authorities that could help assist. Because of the proactive stance on racism, Sweden has become an example for fellow countries within the European Union. Gun Cutt, a human rights committee expert for the United Nations, has said that even the United Nations has set the bar high for Sweden because they are seen as an example within the European Union, and they feel that Sweden could even do better than currently in its current state. While problems of racial treatment in Sweden are real, the country has remained active in combating the issues that arrive with each passing day, and continue to make Sweden a better place to live for all races, ethnicities, and religions. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the gender equality in Sweden and the steps the country has taken and the steps it has already taken over the years to create a more suitable environment. In 1979, Sweden declassified homosexuality as a mental illness. In 1987, Sweden banned discrimination because of sexual orientation and gender identification. In 1995, same-sex couples could now register for partnership benefits in Sweden. In 1998, the first Stockholm Pride Festival, a gay pride festival, is held and has been held every year since, and has grown in popularity. In 2003, gay and lesbian couples can now adopt children. And in 2009, Sweden becomes the 7th country to legalize same-sex marriage. In 2013, the government in Sweden allowed legal gender changes without hormone replacement therapy. And in 2017, transgenderism is declassified as a mental illness. So those are just a couple of the steps that boundaries that have been broken within the country over the past 3 or so decades that have shown the proactive stance Sweden takes on gender discrimination and gender equality. Polls within Sweden among its citizens from the United Nations indicate that a large support for LGBT rights amongst the population of Sweden.
Here in Sweden, it is estimated that our country has about 1.5 million people with some kind of disability. Because of this large number, our government has created the disability policy. The goal and aim of our disability policy is to ensure people with disabilities that they have power and influence over their everyday lives. With the number of people with disabilities being so high in Sweden, there is a focus on the disability rights movement. The Disability Federation is the voice of the movement and has been since 1954. As of today, the Federation consists of 41 national disability organizations with about 400,000 members total. The Swedish Disability Rights Federation and the Sweden's disability policy, along with other organizations, continue to the advancement of inclusion for the individuals with disabilities. Swedes are still finding ways to help make the life of individuals with disabilities more accessible and as normal as possible. But the work of the organization shows people that if society works together, great things can be achieved. The Federation is also a member of the European Disability Forum. The EDF is an umbrella organization standing for 80 million individuals with disabilities in Europe and protects the human rights of people through dialogue with European institutions and other European authorities. The Swedish government has instructed the governments to make facilities more accessible for individuals with disabilities through the Sweden's disability policy. There will be an extra focus on making sure all events are accessible for everyone when designing facilities. Those with disabilities will be able to move more freely throughout facilities and have seats with proper sight lines. Steps will also be taken to make sure public transportation is accessible for all individuals, regardless of need for the entire event. With the large population of Swedish that qualify for the Games, inclusion of the Paralympics will be at the top of the list for the Winter Games held in Stockholm. The proper steps have been taken to make sure these athletes have their opportunity to compete in our superior facilities. We hope to partner with local hotels to offer accommodations at a discounted rate to our staff, fans, and volunteers. We will provide housing for the participating athletes in the Winter Games. We also look to partner with public transportation to offer rides at a discounted rate. These partnerships will help athletes, fans, and volunteers have a first-class experience. Stockholm is one of the largest growing cities in Sweden. By the year of 2022, the population of Stockholm will reach 1 million people. This requires continuous development and innovative and effective urban planning. The city has over 100 active and planned construction projects in and around the city, all with a strong focus on sustainability. In its improving region, Stockholm is a great candidate for mega events. The city of Stockholm has a long and proud tradition of organized sports activities, with many popular competitions and international events taking place each year. The city is building and developing large arenas, swimming pools, ice rinks, outdoor athletic tracks, football courts, horse riding venues, and facilities for the disabled with the latest in technology. The city now has 200 outdoor facilities and 300 indoor facilities. These facilities allow us to host events like ice hockey, figure skating, bobsled, snowboarding, and many more. Each facility is accessible to all ages and levels of mobility. Sweden has now hosted 7 World Championships and over 100 World Cups in the existing competition venues over the last 10 years alone. Furthermore, from 2019 to 2023, Sweden will also host 7 Parasport World Cups and 5 World Championships. When it comes to transportation, Stockholm has a lot of options. Stockholm principal airport is Arlanda, located about 25 miles north of the city center, the largest airport in Sweden. Arlanda has over 80 airlines serving more than 180 international and domestic destinations. The airport has excellent public transportation that links into downtown Stockholm, including the Arlanda Express train, airport buses, and commuter trains. Stockholm Public Transit, also known as SL, is responsible for buses, underground trains, commuter trains, trams, and Greater Stockholm. Subway and commuter trains brings passengers between central Stockholm and areas to beyond downtown. An underground pedestrian passage connects Stockholm Central Station with the Central Metro Station where Stockholm's subway lines converge. There are 4 commuter rail lines serving locations north and south of the city center. Local city buses also serve routes throughout the metropolitan area, along with a limited number of streetcars. Beyond the major source of trains, subways, and buses, there are also ferry bikes and taxis also available. The SO has an accessibility guarantee in place to help travelers with disabilities should anything unforeseen happens. Stockholm is one of Sweden's largest tourist attractions. The city offers a glimpse into the rich culture of Sweden through its arts, architecture, parks, viewpoints, and sightseeing. One of the most popular tourist locations is the Globe. It is one of Stockholm's most iconic buildings and the world's largest spherical building. It serves as Sweden's national hockey arena, but also hosts a variety of other events and concerts, and through the years, some of the world's biggest artists have graced its main stage, including the Rolling Stones and Beyoncé.
This Scandinavian capital city is naturally beautiful and rich with history. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be checking out the top attractions you should see while visiting Stockholm, Sweden. While visiting Stockholm, visitors have a number of different types of options in terms of where they may stay. For example, the opulent Grand Hotel is a famous 5-star location in the city. It was built in the late 19th century, and today it is both a gorgeous place to stay and a great place simply to visit. On the other hand is the Av Chapman. This ship was originally launched in 1888 and today remains moored along the coast of Stockholm. It also acts as a youth hostel and provides a unique experience for anyone staying there. Stockholm is also home to a huge archipelago on its eastern coast. The beauty of this region has inspired a great many artists throughout history. Fortunately, it is relatively easy to travel between the islands, especially during summer months. Take a cruise ship from place to place and take in the great views while you travel. Found in central Stockholm, the Slussen joins Södermalm with Gamla Stan. The name refers to both an important intersection and a lock that joins 2 bodies of water. One of Stockholm's most popular attractions, the nearby Gamla Stan, is a medieval city center. Welcoming for tourists and pedestrians, you'll find restaurants, bars, and cafes alongside many fascinating shops. There are also a variety of beautiful historical buildings to visit. Meanwhile, the bustling center of Sergels Torg is a central town square that also features a theater, stores, and a huge sculpture. The very modern Ericsson Globe is a sports arena found in Stockholm. It is one of the world's largest hemispherical buildings, and therefore it is a spectacular sight to see from miles around. A distinctive shape on the city skyline, this globe presents a unique take on arena design. If museums are more your speed, try Djurgården. Djurgården is an island that features museums, historical attractions, and even an amusement park. Both tourists and locals flock to this location in droves. The Vasa Museum is a maritime museum found on Djurgården that is particularly distinct as it showcases an ancient ship as part of its building. Skansen is also found on that island and is both an open-air museum and zoo that gives visitors a picture of rural life in Stockholm. Modern and traditional, Stockholm is one capital city with a lot to see.
When it comes to funding, the government has already invested into several multi-million-dollar projects to improve the infrastructure, which show the city transformation is already underway. The city will not have to make any major changes to its transportation system, so that helps the game's budget in a major way. Stockholm will also seek external funding and contractors. Financial assistance is critical to the development of the games from large sponsors. Sustainability will be a key functional area of the Stockholm Olympic. Stockholm will be driving the sustainability management system and will be given the task to develop and implement an overall sustainability program for Stockholm. This program will be fully compliant with the IOC sustainability strategy as well as all corporate and regulatory commitment. Indoor and outdoor sites, including non-competition venues, will be in the areas where the risk for affecting biodiversity and cultural heritage is negligible. In Stockholm, most of the public transportation is conducted by the metro system or by electrified commuter trains, both energy-efficient systems. Stockholm's ambition is to contribute to the innovative in air travel leading towards usage of sustainability sourced biofuels and electrification.
Today, decarbonising transport is one of the biggest challenges cities face around the world. By 2050, 65% of the world's population will live in cities, and urban transportation systems will need to handle an extra 2.5 billion journeys. As we near the tipping point in this low-carbon transition, I'm interested in how cities use innovation and technology to bring about systemic change.
The most important goal is that the whole of Stockholm should be fossil fuel free in 2040. We plan to be the smartest city.
The transport sector is a big challenge for Stockholm and Sweden overall. It's probably the last barrier we have towards being a fossil-free and emission-neutral country.
I don't think we need to have private cars in the city. And it's a combination of, this is important, it's a combination of bicycles and boats and trams and buses. But I think we passed the stadium where the car was something you built the city around.
We challenge private car use and we investigate how new technology can create solutions. We work closely together with the City of Stockholm, both to research certain questions, but also to put together demonstration sites and long-term test sites. We are studying how automated vehicles can complement public transport.
So this is a vehicle that is used in a project called the Loved City. And this is a collaboration between a delivery company and a waste company, and also property owners of different stores in Stockholm and the City of Stockholm. The aim for this project is to reduce the amount of cars that transport things in and out of the city. This car goes out to deliver things in the City of Stockholm, and at the same time it picks up the trash from the different stores that they deliver to. So this is a good example on how the city can actually start and be the accelerator.
This is a revolution. Recent ferries can provide the technology to make all ferries emission-free. To make a change totally into fully electric and hydrogen ferries would maybe take 5 or 10 years. We can provide the technology and the rest is politics.
One key is, of course, collaboration. Both the citizens and the different companies and everyone in the city to show them what they should do and what they can do and make it easier to do that. And now we're about 230 different companies that works together with the City of Stockholm.
The researchers are important in this transition to sustainable transportation because we can challenge the norms. We can try things in demonstrations that are beyond the status today, beyond the norms.
My research first focused on a demonstration project for a new electric hybrid bus in the suburb of Södertälje here in Stockholm. This bus was charged wirelessly, so there was no visible infrastructure, essentially. And we wanted to test the feasibility of that solution as well as the impacts on energy consumption and emission reduction. We have seen a tremendous change in public transport for buses. From 2007 and only 8% of fossil-free fuels in the bus fleets, we see now that bus fleets in Stockholm are practically fossil-free. And this happened in less than 10 years because of this ambition and the goals that were set in the first place. The public sector and the city are not falling back on the ambition level, and there are many times that they're actually more ambitious and have more exciting ideas than even the researchers do.
As a politician, you can't go out and deliver things, but you can find the people that do that, and they could probably come up with really good ideas how to do that better if you tell them what you want to achieve.
Here we see some of the best innovation in the world, which have the potential to be deployed at scale in many international cities around the world. Long-term thinking and clear vision is essential for bringing everyone together and finding a best way forward. Great innovation isn't just about technology, it's as much about sharing information effectively and making the journey together.
Stockholm is a great city that holds a lot of rich sports history. We are a growing city that is always looking for new ways to be better for all people and the environment. We believe that we will be the perfect host for the 2026 Winter Olympics and hope you feel the same. If given the opportunity, we promise not to disappoint.